Hello everybody, EzraTime here, and today I want to talk about my childhood anime called Ghost Stories. Now, I think we all know that the Ghost Stories actually has an amazing English dub, like I think a lot of people are known this anime because of the English dub. But for me, I actually know this anime from my friend of mine that's way back in 2012, I think. Like, it's a long time ago when I first watched this anime, and I watched this anime on YouTube. Believe it or not, like it's actually available on YouTube back in the day, and it was actually available on my own language, which is Indonesian, and I think the Indonesian language was actually translated directly from the Japanese script, so like it doesn't necessarily has the comedic element from the English dub. And I did watch the compilation of the English dub. They were really, really funny, but I never actually experienced the English dub myself, watching the entire series. So yeah, there's that. But I did watch the English dub. I think it's quite fun. But I decided to rewatch the series lately, and I gotta say it's actually holds up pretty well, at least for me. So Ghost Stories tell a story for a character named Satsuki, where he moved to her family hometown, like her mother's hometown, and that's where she met with a bunch of friends, obviously, and that's where they actually has to exorcise a bunch of ghosts from the abandoned school building. And I think the premise itself is pretty simple, and it's also pretty cheesy because like you got like a new school building and then you got an old school building. So it's like the building is like next to each other or like facing each other if I'm not mistaken. And it was like, yeah, I mean, like it doesn't make any sense. Why didn't they just like demolish the old school building? Like you're not gonna use them. It's abandoned now and it's a big building, but like for some reason they just like keeping the old building there, which is haunted obviously, and then you got the new school right here, which is just like, oh, that's convenient. The character just go to this school, which I'm pretty sure that's the only school in the town. But it's like, yeah, I mean, that's really convenient. But I love it. I love the premise. It's pretty simple. It's cheesy, but I love it because it was so simple. And obviously, when I first watched the first episode, because the first episode took place in the abandoned school building for the most part, and that's where we met the rest of the character, like Keiichiro, which is Sasuke's brother, and Hajime, Momoko, and Leo. Now, these five characters is basically the main character, obviously, and then this is where they first met on the abandoned school building, and they pretty much have to avoid many ghosts at the abandoned school building. And I thought that the rest of the series is gonna took in the abandoned school building because they are locked inside, and I thought that's where the entire series gonna take place on. Just them trapped inside the school building, and then like maybe go crazy with the building or something because it's supernatural, right? But it's not. The series actually took place on a different location as well. It took place in the town, in a small town they live in, but it's like there's a different location, different ghosts that they need to battle. And I think that's a really great choice, because I'm really glad they don't exactly just like focusing a lot on the abandoned school building, because like they do focus on that, but it's not just like the main location where the ghost is like hunting them. That's where the most ghosts are, but there is like a bigger like other places where the ghost could be, on the around the town. And I think that's really creative in my opinion, or like maybe it wasn't creative, but it's really fun, to have that kind of idea where there's a bunch of different locations that actually haunted, and there's a ghost that obviously haunts the area. And the ghost basically haunts the area because there is a urbanization of the city, and then that's where the ghost basically seal got destroyed, and that's how they got free, and that's how the series took place. And then yeah, it's a really great premise in my opinion. It's really simple enough. And of course we gotta talk about the character itself. I love Sasuke and Keiichiro's chemistry, as brothers and sister. Like you can really tell these two are really caring for each other. And there are times where Keiichiro was like really worried about her sister, because she might die, and it was like heartwarming for me. And I feel like you don't really get that in the English dub, which I'm not criticizing the English dub, because it was exists purely for fun there, or I think because I heard the anime wasn't successful enough, and that's why the English dub exists. But regardless, whatever the case is, like I feel like the original script, the Japanese script, is actually pretty good, because it does portray Keiichiro and Sasuke as these caring brothers and sister, and I really love it, And sure that it's not that deep, but it was effective enough. And of course you got Hajime, which is the perfect character, that always look at Sasuke's underwear And I'm pretty sure Hajime and Sasuke was like, like maybe there is something going on between the two of them, and I feel like the director even said, or someone in the team said that when there is an episode where Sasuke make a wish, that basically involve a spirit. I think her wish is basically she wanted Hajime to fall in love with her, which again I'm not 100% sure on that, but it was mentioned by someone from the team. It was on the wiki, so I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So these two were supposed to be a couple, but I don't know. I kind of see that, they're cute together, and of course you get Leo, which is the nerd ghost, that basically knows everything about ghosts, but also not really, because like even though he knows the entire lore or plot about the ghost, but he doesn't really know how to put them to sleep, and this of course brings me to character Momoko, which is probably the sixth grader and the oldest of the member. And yeah, basically she's the prettiest character I think in the series, and obviously the boys also has crush on her, and then she's also kind of like the chillest and sometimes the dumbest character in a way, but it's not exactly annoying, because sometimes where there is a scene where Leo is like being chased by a ghost, and then Leo was like, oh, like don't call me, because I'm running from a ghost here, and then Momoko is like, oh, should I hang up? I was like, oh, okay. And then Sasuke grabbed the phone, like, no, like, give me the phone. Like, I have a clue for helping Leo, But yeah, all the characters are fun. The chemistry between them is really fun, Like, they feel like actual friends, They care for each other, and although I will say one thing about the Momoko's character, sometimes that he is a bit too soft sometimes, where like the ghost is literally trying to kill Satsuki, and then for some reason she's like sympathizing with the ghost, and for granted she doesn't do this all the time, but there are times, especially with the Marry the Dolls episodes, where Mary is basically resurrecting a bunch of like dolls, and then try to literally kill Satsuki. And then after that ends, Momoko just like, yeah, maybe Mary just wanted to play, man. I'm just like, why are you feeling sad and emotional, Momoko? Like, this doll is literally trying to kill Sasuke. Sure, you weren't there, but it's like, she's literally trying to kill Sasuke. Like, it's not the kind of ghost that you could sympathize with, like, and to be fair, there are several ghosts in the series that you could sympathize with, but not all of them, and sometimes Momoko kind of felt out of place, like her emotion. But of course, it's not just her, but also there's a character, which is Satsuki's mother, named Kayako, I think. I think that's her name, Kayako Miyanoshita, which is her mother. And this is where the entire plot point came, because like her mother is also an exorcist, at least back in the past. And I think it has been passed down through generation where they always exorcise ghosts, which I think that's a pretty cool idea. And sadly she passed away before, like before the series starts, and that's pretty much become the overarching plot for Sasuke and Keiichiro, because there is an episode that actually made me cry when it's actually focusing a lot on their mother, and then imagining that what it's been like if her mother was still alive, but her mother always helped her throughout the series, where she possessed Momoko twice, I think, in the series, basically helping the characters, and then I think the diary is actually also possessed by Kayako, and that's what there is a lot of like the ghost diary exists there, and I feel like it wasn't written by Kayako, but it's actually possessed by her, because by the end of the series, the diary is empty, when Satsuki defeat the main demon, and yeah, I think it's great stuff, great characters, Of course, we gotta talk about because this is a ghost story, so I gotta talk about my um several of my favorite episodes, I think one of my favorite episodes is episode 4, where it's focusing a lot on the piano ghost, that plays the for Alice. I think that's the song's name, and I remember watching that over and over again because I love the song. To be honest, that's like one of the main reasons, And obviously the ghost is like playing the song, and if you hear the song 4 times, then you could have died, And I think that's the premise, And I think it's also really great story overall, because it's really focusing on Sasuke, but the other characters also there, and they're basically really establishing their friendship, like these are the group of friends that are willing to die to protect each other, and that's what you're getting from episode 4, like all the group just like trying to protect Sasuke from this ghost so she doesn't die, and yeah, it's great stuff, and obviously there is episode 6 that I remember so much, because I love the premise where there is this ghost named Baba Sara, which I think is a fictional ghost, and but she resembles a Grim Reaper, and She basically haunts children that left alone in their own house, when their parents are away. But because they were kids, so like they were so easy to scares, and obviously the kids believe in like, the boogeyman or like Grim Reaper, and that's why the Grim Reaper Baba Sare decides to haunt them, and then she doesn't kill them, but she's basically scaring them. And I was like, oh, like you're carrying this giant weapon, and I thought that they're legit going to kill the kid, but that didn't happen. That actually just like I think she's just scaring them, maybe for power or something. Like even though I love this episode, there is some part about the ghost that I'm not really exactly sure. Um, what is her main goal, because every single ghost in many of the episodes, they have their backstory, and then they have their goal, like what is their end goal, and then for Baba Sarai, even though I love the premise and I love the episodes, like her goal wasn't that clear, because I thought that she's gonna go to like a different house, and find some kids that was like left alone by their parents, and then maybe kills them. That's what I thought when the episode started, but that wasn't the case. Apparently she just scares them and then move on. Apparently, because like all the kids just basically traumatized for weeks, because their parents just are not home, and then they see Baba Sare, which is like a cool premise, but at the same time, it wasn't clear what is her goal, and then obviously when the characters in the end, when they thought they defeat Baba Sare by using like a hot water, but apparently Amano Jaku, which I never mentioned Amano Jaku, which I forget. Also Amano Jaku, which is basically a ghost that exists in the first episodes, and then also becomes one of the main character because he basically possessed the cat Kaya, and basically the cat now talks, because he was possessed by Amano Jaku, and then throughout the series, Amano Jaku is basically helping the kids, to put the ghosts to sleep, to exorcise them, and is sometimes protecting them, because they basically see he's kind of like a tsundere character, where he basically denying that, no, I don't care about the characters, I don't care about humans, I hate them as much as you guys do, but like, no, you care, dude. Like, you clearly care because you're protecting them, And Amano Jaku basically said that, oh, like, like if you're actually afraid, then she is going to appear. But if you're not afraid, then she's going to disappear. Like she's not going to exist, basically. And I was like, huh, okay. But it's like when the episodes end, I was like, okay, that doesn't solve the problem though, right? Because every single episode, the ghost is always being put to sleep, And I guess you could say, oh, this is like a different elements, But you gotta remember, like the rest of the town is still in danger, or at least like the rest of the kids that basically, home alone, without their parents. Like Baba Sari could literally knock on their door and then like scares them, even though like sure she doesn't kill them, but she scares them, she traumatized them, it's still a problem. So by the end of episode 6, like the problem wasn't solved, it's still there. Baba Sari is still out there. The only way to basically, exorcise her is to not believe in her and to be brave. That's literally the only way. I was like, okay, that's not gonna work for every kids though. So it's like they're just gonna abandon that, like they're not gonna like I don't know, tell their kids or something. I don't know. Like it's just like one of the plot point that I was like, that doesn't solve the problem, and they just like gloss it over, I guess because the other kids is not the main character, so who cares, right? But yeah, the other one episodes that I like is actually an episode I forgot what episode it is, but actually involved like a nurse, a nurse ghost that basically deliver or like tell a person that if he or she about to pass away, And mainly I love this episode because again it's really focusing a lot on Kayako's character, Sasuke's mother. And by the end of it I actually cry, because it really like basically she sends a letter to a family, but the family never received the letter. And that's what the nurse ghost is there to basically give the letter to Keiichiro and Satsuki so they can read the letter from Kayako, her mother, And it basically said that, if I have a second chance, then we could definitely, stay together a lot more longer, and then basically become a family and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, it's just emotional stuff, because it really give a lot character depth, for Satsuki and Keiichiro, because so far the characters, like, they're not that deep, but until this one I was like, oh, okay. They actually give like a backstory that actually, super emotional, or maybe not super emotional, but it was emotional enough, and it was handled tastefully, like I actually really care for the family, and I feel bad that Kayako actually passed away, and I almost wish that this entire series is actually Sasuke and her mother, like, basically exorcising ghosts, I feel like that's what like I kind of want that after I see that episode, so that's why it's great, and also we're seeing Amuro Jaku as the care for the family, even though he like pretending not to. um, but yeah, the next episode that is my favorite is actually episode 16, where we're focusing a lot on this apartment building that was abandoned, and on that apartment, basically the rest of the apartment is actually, sorry, apartment is actually haunted, obviously, and then Sasuke's father is working there, and then I think um, one of his coworker got hurt, or at least almost got hurt because apparently he saw a child in the apartment, and then it was revealed that it was a ghost, obviously. And I love it so much, because the apartment actually exists in the middle of the woods, I think, or like in the middle of the mountain, and then the rest of the area is basically like a forest, and then once the character get there just to figure stuff out, because obviously there is people getting hurt there. When they get to the apartment, the apartment suddenly just disappear, and then suddenly there's like a suburban area in the mountain, which the suburban area never existed in the first place. And I was like, oh damn, like this ghost power is actually super amazing, because they create their own reality, and basically creating this entire suburban area even though it was empty clearly. And then they use a trap, where they when the gang actually see a lady in the apartment that is about to jump, and they were like, oh, we gotta stop her, because she's about to commit suicide. And they enter the apartment, and surprise surprise, it was actually the old apartment building. It was actually a trap set by the ghost. And I was like, oh damn, and pretty much the rest of the episode took in the apartment, and I really love the atmosphere so much, but I will say this, I'm kind of it really sucks, because like some of these episodes I feel like should be longer, should be like a 2 episodes, for like one ghost story, because I feel like the premise is so cool, the place is so cool, it was creepy, and I want to stay there a lot longer, which, yeah, it's creepy, but it's like I want to stay there, with the character, and then experience more scary stuff, and then it was only 20 minutes, because it's an episode, so it's like, okay, like it's a good 20 minutes at least, right? But yeah, it's a good premise, I love how in the end that Sasuke is the only one remaining, and then she has to save her friends, from falling to death, and yeah, it's great stuff. And then we also see Amano Jaku again, this time really saving Sasuke's ass, like a lot of time in Amano Jaku is saving their ass so many times, I just love it so much. But moving on, every single anime, or like sometimes when it was an anime that actually maybe it wasn't even a horror anime, there is always this one episode sometimes where they're actually kind of scary, and kind of like stays with you for a while. And Ghost Story, even though it was a funny series, it actually has that one episode, and which is episode 14, where we're focusing on this ghost named Shizuko thing. And this episode actually really scares me, at least when I was a kid, 10 years ago. When I watched the episode, I was like, when I first watched it, I was like, oh, okay, fine, it's a cool ghost, it's a cool episode as always. But and then I realized it actually stays with me, it actually kind of scares me, when I watched that episode. And even rewatching it, I still found it kind of scary, I mean, I'm kind of used to it, but it still kind of creeped me out sometimes, because I love the ghost, it's kind of like the ghost from The Ring, and yeah, basically Shizuko is like a vengeance spirit, because she died before when she got engaged, and then she lost her ring, and then that's why she gets angry every single time someone or something go through that place where she died. This basically haunt the place, and then basically basically disturb anybody who goes there. And I love how the episode start with how they basically bring in how dangerous Leo character was sometimes, because Leo's character is basically like, oh, like super nerdy ghost type of character, and always like want to learn more about the paranormal activity and stuff like that. But eventually, when he actually taking a picture to the characters just to see the spirit, that's if we're gonna get something in the photo, the classic stuff, and Momoko was like, you know what, maybe we shouldn't do that, because like it's not our place, like we're basically disturbing the ghost here. We should just leave it alone, Momoko is basically being nice. And then that's where Leo was like, yeah, you're right, we should just leave it alone. And then suddenly when he actually saw Momoko's picture, there is like a hand on the shoulder, on the picture, and I was like, and oh, shit, like I remember seeing that picture and got chills, because I feel like that picture is still kind of scares me, because sometimes Ghost Hunter did that, where they took a picture and they saw something possibly, in the picture, and this episode really does that effectively, and we basically got Momoko, where basically the nicest characters in the series, basically got possessed by this ghost named Shizuko, and then Leo is obviously feeling really guilty, and then he needed to exorcise, Shizuko somehow, and then eventually it's gonna be like the classic idea of like exorcising a ghost, where you need to figure out a name and then you need to figure out the backstory, and that's what they did in this episode. It's kind of like reminding me of the Exorcist movie just a little bit, because we don't exactly get like Shizuko is actually speaking through Momoko and stuff like that, and then like turning his head 360 degree, like that didn't happen, but it's like, yeah, she possessed Momoko basically. And this is where I really love Leo's character, because like it really shows that he's really taking responsibility of his action, because like sometimes that kind of hobbies, just obsessed about ghosts and stuff like that, really could backfire, and then it does. And eventually she's, Momoko is the one who basically figure out everything together, that yeah, here's the ring, and then like we should just give it to Shizuko, and that's how the episodes end. Still, in my opinion, one of the scariest episodes for ghost stories, even though the rest of the episode is funny, but this one, episode 14, is actually far more serious than before. It's far more dramatic, and it's far more scarier because the ghost is actually like possessing the character, and especially the picture that you saw, I was like, damn, that was actually quite scary. Even though it's anime, it's still quite scary in my opinion. So I was like, yeah, this is scariest episodes. But bring me to the end of the episodes we know, which is episode 20, where we finally face the final ghost name, Oma thing, right? Yeah, Oma. So this Oma character, or like Lord Orma, the final ghost, the final boss basically, he has a grudge to Kayako, like Sasuke's mother, because like she put him to sleep basically. She exorcised him, and then now he's free. He basically won a revenge by taking Sasuke and Keiichiro and trapping them in a school building, and then he plans to kill them, and obviously the rest of the world as well. And even though I really love this episode, because they basically bring back all the ghosts from the previous episodes, and basically Oma is like controlling them now, because again, he's the final boss, he's the most powerful ghost, and then he's controlling all the ghosts that appear from the previous episode. I was like, damn, that's a cool idea, and then even though that was cool, and it has a good conclusion, I feel like this episode should be longer, because I feel like that's my main criticism for the series, because every single episode it does feature a different story, a different ghost, which I think is neat, different location is nice. But I feel like for the finale, I kind of wish it was longer, because I feel like they introduced Oma character suddenly, and then like 15 minutes later they're able to put him back to sleep, or like exorcise him, and it was like, yeah, it kind of feels like it's cool, but it's like it needs to be longer, I kind of wish that we see the entire town getting attacked by the ghost that from the previous episodes, because I think that would be a cool idea. Imagine seeing a scene from the final arc, basically the final story arc, where we actually see Oma like controlling all the ghosts, but also attacking the city using the ghosts to attack all the cities. I was kind of expecting that, because I feel like that was a really cool idea. But they really rushed the finale, in my opinion, because again, every single episode is only like 20 minutes long or 24 minutes long, the standard anime length, for an episodes. And I was like, damn, this should have been longer, because like you barely utilize all the ghosts. I mean, sure, all the ghosts appear in their individual episodes, but I feel like the idea of like bringing them back, and they were controlled by the bigger ghosts, the most powerful ghosts. I feel like that was a cool idea, and I feel like they barely used that. It's like, oh yeah, here's the ghost from the previous episodes, and then they basically chasing Sasuke and Keiichiro, and then they trap them together, like that was cool, seeing like two different ghosts like working together. But I feel like it was there on like one scene, and then the other scene is like, oh, here's all the ghosts, from the abandoned school building, and they're all united now, following Lord's Oma, order, I was like, okay, cool. But they barely appear. It's just like they're there for like one scene and that's it, The idea of like having all the ghosts to attack that town, and then having the characters like not just start from the abandoned school building, but imagine if they just start the invasion from their own home, and then basically the entire episode, like they need to unite, maybe unite in like the downtown area or something, and then they see like the people getting attacked by the ghosts, and then like you get to see Amano Jaku in action, like try to stop the ghost, try to save some of the people, and so does the our character as well, try to put the ghost to sleep and stuff like that, and then they will realize that, oh, there's a bigger stuff happening, and then we gotta go back to the abandoned school building, we gotta go back to where everything started in the first place, and that's where the series where it ends, and I was like, yeah, that would have been a much more cooler idea, because I feel like they didn't really utilize that well, where we bring back all the ghosts, but like they all appear really quickly in one scene, and then that's it. They never like use them, And for granted, yes, Alma is basically the main threat, I know, but I feel the idea of like bringing all the ghosts back, I feel like you should use them, at least in my opinion, instead of just like, yeah, you bring all the all the ghosts back, and then he's able to control them, isn't that scary? And then like it was never used at all, it was used on like 2 scenes, and then that's it, it was like, okay. But either way, I still think it's a good series, I still think it holds up pretty well, and I kind of wish there's a remake, so we can see like an expansion for a certain story element, in my opinion. But they're probably not gonna do that, especially with the English dub. I don't think they're gonna get away with the English dub, especially in this today's age, where everybody was so easily offended, especially Momoko, just like, like, have you accepted Jesus as your savior? Have you considered being a Christian? It's like, there's one thing I remember from the English dub. Momoko is just like a Christian fanatic, and I was like, whoa, there is so much different from the original Momoko, I was like, damn, and to be fair, the rest of the character is also different from the English dub, which is fun, it's a fun idea in my opinion, but yeah, guys, that is basically my review or like this recap for Ghost Stories, guys. Again, I love this anime so much, it's my childhood anime. I remember them so much, besides Slam Dunk, obviously, but yeah, I remember watching this anime with a lot of my friends, and it's like really fun to have some nostalgia and rewatching the series again, and then share my opinions with you guys, so yeah, I'm gonna ask you guys, what do you guys think about Ghost Stories anime, like it doesn't matter, I guess, if you guys watch it on English dub or Japanese dub, even though like the tone is probably a bit more different, but it's still a comedy at its heart, so let me know in the comment section below what do you guys think about the Ghost Stories anime. Do you guys love this anime, or maybe do you guys hate this anime? And of course, if you guys haven't watched the Ghost Stories anime, I know that I probably spoiled certain things here, but don't worry, there is a lot of stuff that I haven't spoiled, because there is a lot of ghosts in the series, and there's a lot of different elements and places to the series, so there is a lot of stuff that you guys can watch and then like be surprised or like be entertained, so I would definitely recommend you guys to go watch it, like it's up to you. You guys want to watch it on the Japanese dub or the English dub, which is like super hilarious and ridiculous. Like it's up to you, I'm not exactly saying that this dub is better or like this dub is better. Like no, it's up to you guys, because I feel like they're both fun. They're both fun to watch, so yeah, if you guys enjoyed this review, then leave a like, comment, subscribe, share the videos, and the usual stuff, guys. And yeah, stay tuned for more videos in the future, guys. And again, don't forget to subscribe. And again, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye!